Hey everybody, welcome to your second week of e-learning. I know that this is weird for you and it's weird for me. But first things first, what I think is very important for me to say and for me to point out is that I know we have only spent about a week or a week and a half together actually in person. But I miss you all. I miss being in class with you. And if you ever need anything from me as we're moving forward, since we have more e-learning time than we thought we were going to have, if you need anything from me, either help with the content in class, if you're having technology issues or anything else, I'm going to put my email address right here, which you probably already know it. You've been getting emails from me. But just in case, if you ever need anything from me, I just want to make sure that you know first thing first as we continue with this e-learning journey, that I am here for you. So email me if you have any issues. Just let me know what's going on with you. And I like hearing from you too. So let's talk about how we're going to move forward with even more e-learning than was originally anticipated. First, I'm bringing the tie back, a little bit of normalcy for me. You know, it's actually giving me a reason to get dressed, and that's nice to have. Hopefully it's bringing a little bit of normalcy to you, like ties are awesome. As you can see, we're upping the quality of these videos here that we've got an intro. But things are going to work generally the same as they did during our first week of e-learning. I'm going to continue making the videos. To me, they're fun, they're useful, they're giving me something to do during quarantine. And what I've heard from you is that you all like them as well. I've sent out a feedback survey after our first week of e-learning. Not everybody has filled it out, but the people who did, the vast majority of them said that the videos were actually quite helpful to them. So if you if you agree with that, or if you disagree with that, or if you want to give me any of your feedback, go ahead and check your emails. I sent that feedback survey out on March 25th, so go back through your emails. If you want me to send it to you again, of course that I will, just shoot me an email. But I want to hear from you, because now, especially more than ever, I think, this is your space and your time that you are allowing me to enter, and so I need to know how to best serve you during all of this time. So if you would, it's very quick, it's anonymous, I won't know, you can really rip me and just tell me why everything I did is awful. That's absolutely fine. I'm looking for constructive feedback here. Give me some things that you think should be done differently, or some things that you thought were done well and you think that I should keep doing. As we're moving forward, things will work generally the same for now as they did during our first week of e-learning, where things are going to be posted on Schoology. I'm going to try to keep it the same in the same organized way that I have it now, where there will be a folder for each week, and then within the folder there will be a separate folder for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, with your assignments and materials in that folder. I think that makes logical sense to me. If it does or if it doesn't to you, let me know either in an email or in that feedback survey. I don't know how much you know either from a phone call or an email from Principal Schultz, but we are going to be doing things 4 days a week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and on Friday there will be an optional extension activity, which we'll get more into later this week, and I'll be checking in with all of you. You know, if you haven't been doing your work all week, I'm going to be reaching out to you to see if there's some sort of problem, like tech problem, or if you're confused or something that I can help you out with. But keep in mind, too, that as we're doing this e-learning, that deadlines are flexible. I would very greatly appreciate if you did Monday's work on Monday, but I know that there are circumstances beyond your control that might not allow you to do that. It doesn't matter to me personally. I don't care if you do the assignments at 8 in the morning or at 2 in the morning. Your time is your time. The fact that you're doing these, I'm greatly appreciative to you. We had a meeting last week that we said for attendance, we have 99% attendance during our first week of e-learning, and during all the assignments, about 60% of, if not higher, of assignments for the classes that I teach are turning in, which is really good. So I'm very happy with all of the work that you're doing, but that's generally how it's going to continue to work. Most of you also completed the Unit 8 test that was at the end of our first e-learning week. So we are going to move forward with Unit 9 and talk about the United States after World War II. But I want to view it with this lens of coronavirus and the strange things that are going on in the world today. I think to do anything else would be foolish, it would be less relevant to you, and it would just seem like busy work that you're doing during this time at home, and I don't want this to be that for you. So I want to make these things, you know, pretty quick, pretty simple, but also useful to you and helpful in understanding some broader themes about the world and understand what's going on in the world right now today. So to be clear, things are just bananas right now. This is an unprecedented time. So even though we are in U.S. history and learning about our past, historians right now are actually quite confused because the things that are going on right now have just never happened before in American history, and then, there's even a larger scale of talking about world history here. So historians are a little confused. They're looking back at certain times like the Great Depression about how the government responds to economic crises like the one that we're facing right now, or there was a flu pandemic in the late 1910s that the United States and the rest of the world grappled with, and historians are trying to use these as some sort of guidance, but to be absolutely clear, there is no historical precedent for what's going on here. But there are some enduring questions that I think we can ask about the history that we're going to learn that we can try to apply in the modern day and the things that are happening now. So we're probably not going to solve any of the world's largest problems in this classroom, but there are some of those questions that history can give us some sort of answers to. So as we travel into more modern American history, as we talk about the nuclear arms race, the Cold War, the war in Vietnam, the civil rights movements, things like that, I think there are a few questions here. So the first one that we're going to be tackling is, how do we consume information, especially online, in an intelligent manner? So that's something that is obviously apparent right now. Consuming information about the coronavirus or just information generally is difficult in our time. And so what lessons can we take from history, historical skills that you should be learning, and how can we apply those to what's going on today? Our second question is one that I think is always going to be enduring, is what does good leadership look like? And that's definitely going to be a key thing that we're going to be looking at as we go through crises in the United States, through times of war and social upheaval, and right now, what should we look for in our leaders? What should they be doing? Our third question then is who should the government serve and how? I don't know how much you've been paying attention to the news or if you've just been too afraid to watch the news like I sometimes am, but the Congress and the federal government just passed one of the largest, not the largest, stimulus bill in American history that is specifically picking certain industries and people to help economically. So how did they make that decision? Do we agree with that decision? And that's something that we can look back in history. That's going to be one of our very first things we're going to look at this week, is how did the federal government decide to help the veterans of World War II? How did they do it? Who did they decide to help? And do we agree, should the government have actually done that? We're going to take a look at that through the rest of Unit 9 too. Who should the government help in terms of civil rights? Should the government get involved with that? Who should they decide to help? Have they picked the right groups and the wrong groups? Have there been some groups that they've ignored? We're going to explore that. And finally, our fourth question here is really what you're going to be exploring later this week, is what is the common good, in air quotes here, and how can you and I contribute to it? So this is a really interesting question that I think that we have, is can we even agree about what a common good is? And if we can, then what can you and I do to help further that in American history? If we want to focus on, justice in America, how can we help bring that justice to everybody? So that's something that you're going to explore a little bit. So this is how this is going to work this week. We're going to explore these questions throughout the unit. The week itself is going to look very similar to what you did in the previous week. I am going to be asking, for you to continue submitting things. A lot of things this week are going to be reflective, and I don't want you to be spending hours upon hours upon hours on your United States history work. The recommendation is the things that we've been assigning and the time that you should be spending is about a half hour. So including watching the video, reading the assignment, and actually doing the assignment, it should take you about a half hour with your United States history. So that's as much thought as I'm asking you to put into it. I don't want you to be spending hours poring over all of your work. That's not what this is intended to do. There's intended to be relatively quick, relatively easy, reflective, and in a way that's actually useful to your life. So with that then, I want to ask you to spend some time to actually be reflective just on this process. We're living in a very strange time. I haven't seen you in 2 weeks. We had a week of e-learning. Who knows when I will see you again. The governor of Illinois has extended the stay-at-home order until the end of April. It's very unclear how this is going to work. So I want to just give you a moment to give you permission, to give you time to think about that. So on Schoology, there is a Google Doc waiting for you that I just want to hear, how are you doing? How is it going? What things are you stressed about? What are some successes or failures that you've had during this quarantine? I just want to give you a second, give you permission to feel the feels that the feelings that you're feeling, to think the thoughts that you're thinking, to just let those come out. So that's your assignment for right now. Just give me a few sentences. It's very light. This is just an introduction day of how we're going to go with this, but I think this is important to give you this certain time. So with that then, thank you, good luck, work hard, stay healthy, and stay awesome.